Am I crazy for thinking my partner sometimes lasts too long in bed? No option for a quickie with us. I find it really awkward to schedule sex. How do I get over that? How do I bring up things I liked in the bedroom that my ex used to do to my new partner? All right, we're taking a hard right turn here, Vanessa. How to get over a fetish? I have one I can't seem to drop.
Why are guys so into swallowing? So as our resident guy, tell us. Hello and welcome to the Pillow Talks podcast. We're your hosts, Vanessa
and Xander Marin.
I'm a sex therapist with over 20 years of experience.
And I'm just a regular dude. We share the ups and downs in our relationship while giving you step-by-step techniques for improving yours.
Make sure you subscribe for your weekly double date full of totally doable sex tips, practical relationship advice, hilarious and honest stories of what really goes on behind closed bedroom doors, and so much more. It's the sex education you wish you'd had. So every Sunday on our Instagram account, we do Ask Us Anything Sunday. We give our community the chance to just ask us literally any question. How can we help? How can we be of service?
Try to stump us.
Yeah. Also, if you're not following us on Instagram already, definitely come join the party. We're at Vanessa.
Ask us questions.
Yeah, Vanessa and Xander. Xander is with an X. So every week we get thousands of questions. Like, we can't even get through all of them. And of course we can't answer, we only answer like the tiniest little fraction of them, but we get so many good questions. So we thought, you know what, let's take some of the questions that we couldn't get to last week and let's dive into it in the podcast episode. So if this happens to be your first episode, hi, I'm Vanessa. I'm a sex therapist. I have been in this field for 23 years, which is starting to sound really crazy. And Xander is...
I'm her husband. I'm Xander. I have not been in this field. Really, I never thought I would be in this field until I started working with Vanessa in like 2015 or so. Starting in 2020, I actually got behind the camera and started doing...
In front of the camera.
So, yes, I went from behind the camera to in front of the camera and started doing this, started a podcast, everything we do on Instagram. So I'm not formally trained, but I'm a husband. I'm a man. I've got the partner perspective.
I'm a man.
And while I am not formally trained, you know, I've had 5 years of real hands-on experience, and I think I do know a thing or two.
More than that. And together we have a business where we help couples keep the spark alive in long-term relationships. So today we are going to get into questions about why scheduling sex feels so awkward, why guys are so into swallowing, and how to make requests at the bedroom, and so much more. Okay, so let's actually dive into that question about swallowing. Somebody asked us, why are guys so into swallowing? So as our resident guy, tell us. Okay, well, I gotta admit, I saw this question on here and I've been thinking about it for a couple of minutes, and that's a tough question because I feel like I kind of question the premise of this question. I'm not sure that guys are so into swallowing. Like, I feel like I hear the question often, like I feel when it comes to like blowjobs and stuff or whatever, I feel like more often it's like, oh, why are guys so into like coming on their partner or something like that? I don't really think of swallowing necessarily as like a specific thing that guys are super into. I think that when it comes to swallowing, I think that there can be a dynamic where when a partner doesn't swallow, it can kind of create a little bit of almost like body shaming to the guy. Because like, if your experience is we're having oral sex to completion, my partner is giving me a blowjob, and then I finish and all of a sudden my partner jumps up and is like obviously in a bit of, I don't know, discomfort or slightly grossed out, like, and spitting out my semen, like, you kind of come away feeling like, ooh, like my partner just did something for me that they don't really like, they don't really enjoy, that kind of grosses them out. Yeah.
And then I kind of come away feeling a little icky about that.
Yeah.
Like, why did I ask why do I want my partner to do something that's grosses them out? Mm-hmm. And so I don't think it's so much that guys are into swallowing. I think guys just like
Don't wanna
just
be
like
body
women,
shamed.
yeah, just like women, I think men and women both want to receive oral sex that their partner is actually giving in an enjoyable, like in a very giving way, and not in a begrudging, oh, I guess I'll do it, but I have to spit your shit out, like
Your shit. Yeah, I mean, so whenever this is a hot button issue. I'm like, oh boy,
Yeah.
we're gonna
Oh, it
get
is.
people riled up right from the very beginning.
But I want to be clear. I'm not saying that you have to swallow, and we can get back to what I'm saying about this.
Yeah, no, I mean, I always like to be clear that our perspective is everybody gets to decide what they want to do with their own body. We're not here like making up rules or saying everybody has to do this. But I do think it's really valuable for people to imagine themselves with the roles reversed. Like we seem to have, there's this cultural idea that it's totally okay to spit. And I think a lot of women even talk openly about like, ew, yeah, why would I ever want to swallow that? That's so gross. I'm definitely spitting it out. But if we flip the roles, like if you're a woman, imagine your partner goes down on you, you come, and then they come up like, no, like wiping their face, running to the bathroom. Like you can hear them splashing water, trying to like spit it all out. Like that would feel so horrible, right? So I think that's the main point that we're trying to make here is like treat your partner the way that you want to be treated. But yeah, it's not that the only options are spitting versus swallowing. You can also just ask your partner to give you a heads up when they're about to come and have them come somewhere else if you don't want them to come in your mouth. But also the thing that like always cracks me up about spitting versus swallowing is when you spit, you're actually holding the semen in your mouth way longer.
Yeah, and having to taste it if the taste is something
taste
that's...
or the texture is something that... And a lot of people have like textural issues. It's where a lot of people like, they're not overtly trying to body shame their partner. So I want to make sure we say that too. It's like more of, oh, I have issues with texture or stuff like that. But yeah, I think it's interesting because when you spit, you hold it in your mouth so much longer, especially if you're someone who's like running to the bathroom, you're holding it for a long time in your mouth versus if you swallow, it's literally like
there and it's gone.
Yeah. The second that it's in your mouth, it's gone from your mouth. So you don't actually end up like, people like women complain all the time about the textural issue. And I'm like, I've never noticed the texture because it's just immediately down my throat.
Yeah. And I mean, here's an idea. If you're like, oh, I'm like left with a slightly weird taste in my mouth or a slightly squicked out by the texture, have a glass of water, have a glass of juice, something with a stronger flavor ready by the bed. Take a sip and like, boom, it's gone. That's so much faster than like running to the bathroom and then it's been in your mouth for all that amount of time.
And also we have to normalize that bodily fluids don't taste like candy, sugar, or gum. Like
it's not supposed to taste good. It's also not supposed to taste disgusting.
Yeah, but it just tastes like an organ. It tastes like bodily fluids. So I think we also, part of this is just normalizing, like, it's okay if it doesn't taste that great to you. Like, that's just bodies doing body stuff.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think like a lot of our hang-ups around bodily fluids for both men and for women come from some internalized shame around sex. Like, but like the reality is like, once we come to terms with our own shame and the way we've been brought up around sex, like the reality is sex is hot and bodily fluids are a part of sex and they can be a very hot and sexy, fun part of the experience. Like you can't really have sex without bodily fluids being involved. And so like, yeah, if we're gonna be so hung up, we're not open to examining where this hang up is coming from. We're not open to thinking, how could I give oral sex in a way that would feel fun and exciting throughout the whole way? Or like same for your partner. Or then like why are we doing it in the first place? And that's not to say that if oral sex grosses you out, great, you got a free pass, like don't do it. Like I would say, can we get to the bottom of what's coming up for you? Can we figure out how to make it enjoyable one way or the other? Like you gave the example of, hey, if you are finding really, I just cannot find a way to swallow or to spit where I'm not grossed out by something like, how about, then can we like finish with my hand and you come on me or you come on yourself or something? But like, still like, but the bottom line is like, can we find a way to make that fun and exciting and sexy rather than like a lesser than? Because I think that's what a lot of guys come away feeling like. My partner doesn't want to give me oral sex, but feels like they're obligated to. No one wants obligatory sex. No one wants obligatory blowjobs. And I think that a lot of guys end up feeling like they're in this kind of catch-22 position where it's like they want to experience oral sex from time to time, just like most women want to experience oral sex from time to time. And I feel like men and women could really like find some common ground here, because I think that both men and women have the experience of like, I want to have this experience, but I have this hang up that my partner's maybe not really that into it, or they don't want to like freely give it to me. Yeah. And it's like, guys, just get our foreplay guides and figure out how to have a lot of fun doing it. It's easy. It takes like 20 minutes of reading and you'll have a bunch of ideas, tips. And honestly, once you know what you're doing and have confidence that it's going to be amazingly good for your partner, most people are like, holy shit, this is actually fun. I'm getting enjoyment out of this now. Yep. I'm not like blundering around in the dark.
We know you listen to Pillow Talks, so I also think you're going to be into listening to some romance audiobooks. We have talked before about how this is really the cheat code to getting a little extra zing in your life. I think most people are really surprised by how excited they get listening to some romance, some romantasy books. It's just very stimulating and very exciting, which is why we're very excited to tell you about Audible. Their romance collection has something to satisfy every side of you. So my personal favorites are Sarah J. Maas and the Court of Thorn and Roses series. If you have not listened to that audiobook yet, that series, you need to get started right away. But there are also tons of other authors and genres to choose from, maybe more of like a modern rom-com from Lily Chu or Ali Hazelwood, or maybe Regency favorites like Bridgerton and Outlander. Your first great love story is free when you sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com/pillow. Seriously, nothing to lose. It's 30 days absolutely free, so give it a try. You just might be surprised by how into it you are. That's audible.com/pillow. Hey, you. You are dehydrated and you need to get rehydrated. Hydration is the key to feeling your best, and Cure makes it easier than ever. Cure is the cleanest way to hydrate. It's made with clean ingredients, zero added sugar, just pure hydration without any of the junk. And they have amazing flavors: berry, pomegranate, strawberry, kiwi, lemonade, watermelon, so many more. If you're somebody who just doesn't like the taste of water, a little Cure packet will make it so much easier for you to get that hydration boost. They're also super convenient. Just these little packets, throw them in your purse, throw a few in your car, make sure you are hydrated all day long. It seriously makes such a big difference. Dehydration is the most common symptom of fatigue, headaches, brain fog, dry skin, and more. Hydration goes beyond just drinking water. It's about replenishing the electrolytes we lose through sweat, sleep, alcohol, and daily activities. Water alone isn't enough to do the job. That's why you need to try Cure, the electrolyte drink mix that tastes as amazing as it makes you feel. For Pillow Talks listeners, Cure is offering 20% off your first order. Stay hydrated and feel your best by visiting curehydration.com/pillow and using promo code PILLOW at checkout. That's curehydration.com/pillow and use code PILLOW for 20% off your first order.
All right. I think we beat that one to death. Shall we continue on?
Sure.
All right. Am I crazy for thinking my partner sometimes lasts too long in bed? No option for a quickie with us.
Okay, so to answer the question, no, you're not crazy. Like, everybody is allowed to have their own preferences about how long they want sex to last. And I think this is a really big misconception between men and women that about how long sex should last. I think a lot of men have sensitivity around not lasting long enough, like coming too quickly.
Yeah.
And so there are a lot of men who feel like they need to last longer, or the key to great intercourse is lasting as long as possible. I mean, we always talk about the songs that we grew up with, talking about like, having sex all night long sounds terrible to me. But I think so many of us have that in our heads, that good sex is long sex. And it's really interesting, like the question of how long do you like intercourse to last, or the entire sexual experience to last? That's such an important question for couples to ask each other. But very, very few couples have ever actually talked about that. So here's your opportunity to press pause on this episode, ask your partner, hey, funny question. I was listening to a podcast episode about this. We've never talked about it before. What is your ideal length for intercourse? What is your ideal length for the entire overall sexual experience? Like, talk about this with your partner.
Yeah, and we have actually surveyed this with our audience, and the vast majority of people are looking for intercourse to last within the 5 to 10 minute or the 10 to 15 minute range. And with more women are looking for that 5 to 10 minute, and slightly more men are thinking that it should be that 10 to 15-ish minutes. But yeah, like there are very, very, very few people that are actually desiring like 30 plus minutes of intercourse.
I don't want 30 plus minutes of intercourse.
There's a very small minority of people who do want that. And they also, just for what it's worth, they are extremely satisfied with their sex lives. But those are a subset of people who have found each other. They're basically people who have found each other where like, hey, intercourse is really important to me. I love it. I love going for a long time. My partner loves going for a long time. And like, that's what we do. Just like, we have different people have different hobbies. Like these people have a long sex hobby and they're really happy with it because they're doing what they love. But the vast majority of everybody else is not looking for that.
Oh my God.
And so funny. I think that, that can be helpful to know, to kind of take that pressure off.
Here's another variation on the question though, is ask your partner like, okay, let's say it's a random, weeknight where we're just trying to connect with each other versus maybe it's on the weekend when the kids are gone or when we go on a getaway, just the two of us. Like those are very different things. I mean, for me personally, a random weeknight, like I'm looking for a shorter experience overall versus if it's, we're on vacation somewhere, we have like all the time in the world, then I'm happier to go for longer. But I think people tend to have different preferences based on the, specific instance.
All right. So I think you've covered one possibility here for, am I crazy for thinking my partner sometimes lasts too long in bed? Actually, I just realized as I reread it, they wrote sometimes, which I'm curious now. Are they saying
how often?
Yeah. How often is sometimes? Because that does lead me more down the path that you went down, which is that this could be a misunderstanding of expectations around how long sex should last. But then they're also saying no option for a quickie. So then I'm also thinking maybe it's not just sometimes, like it's more often. So that makes me think there's two other possibilities beyond misunderstanding, I think, or that I can think of. The one is that it is very possible to have a problem with delayed ejaculation, which is basically taking too long to get there, or not too long, but longer than you would like. There's also the third possibility of this could be a potential death grip scenario where you've trained yourself to only react to a very certain type of stimulation. And so it can take very long with any other type of normal stimulation.
Yeah, I mean, those two are pretty closely.
I guess they can be in the same category.
Yeah, I mean, so some men do have, we call it delayed ejaculation. There is no specific timeline for it, though. It's not like, if you last longer than 30 minutes or whatever. It's really a subjective experience. And it's based more on the man's experience of his own body. Is he like, oh my God, I'm trying to come and I just can't get there. Like it's taking longer than I want it to take. So there are a lot of different potential causes for this. One of the most common ones is medications, particularly anti-anxiety or antidepressant medications can make it a lot harder to reach orgasm. The death grip is also another really common reason for this, that like he's trained his body to need this like very intense stimulation that he can't experience during vaginal intercourse. I don't know what the gender was of this couple, but it can happen, with couples of all orientations. It can also be more like psychological or emotional, like sometimes men struggling with sexual shame or guilt, having, baggage of their upbringing, maybe purity culture, can make it really difficult to get there because your brain has sort of associated orgasm with being wrong and naughty and, sex with being forbidden or taboo. So it makes it harder to get there. So it could be that as well.
Yeah. I mean, I know that I've had periods of time where I struggled with taking longer than I wanted to. And it was kind of like the seesaw effect of having some type of performance issues. And, this was very early in our relationship when neither of us, when neither of us were well equipped to really discuss performance issues or how we were actually feeling around them. And honestly, I think it was also in that very early period where we were kind of coming to terms with the fact that I wasn't the greatest supportive partner in the very beginning of our relationship around supporting your orgasm. And so there was a number of things happening there where I was realizing, I haven't been a very supportive partner to Vanessa and making sure that, in encouraging her to have an orgasm and doing the things that we need in order for her to get there so that it's not over when I'm done. Then there's also sometimes, having a little premature ejaculation and feeling really bad about that. And then getting in your head thinking, I gotta last a long time. I gotta last a long time. I gotta last a really long time. Right. And then, there's things that guys do. There's stereotypical things like thinking about other stuff like baseball or non-sexy things to try to get yourself to last longer. And that can be a really good short-term strategy. The problem is once you start to check out mentally, you can really totally check out and your body stops responding. So then all of a sudden you're like, okay, yeah, I'm doing this thing, but I'm I can't get any closer. Now I've totally shut this kind of brain body connection off. And so, yeah, I definitely had a couple of times where I was so focused on lasting longer for your sake that then after you came, then I was like, oh God, what the hell am I supposed to do now? And so, yeah, that can be challenging. And I think that if you've gotten yourself into a place like that, where you're not feeling super connected to your body or your pleasure because you are trying to, kind of do a solid for your partner or something like that, or you're really focused on not coming too fast because you have some shame around some performance issues you've had in the past, that could be a great thing to talk about in therapy, to try to work on, because it's really just coming to terms with your own shame and getting more comfortable just talking openly with your partner about what's going on, and often just getting a little encouragement from your partner of hey, let's just go for it. Don't be so worried about me. Sometimes you just need a little bit of encouragement from your partner to kind of let things loose.
All
right. Next up, how do I bring up things I liked in the bedroom that my ex used to do to my new partner?
Okay, first thing, don't
Carefully.
Don't say, my ex used to do this thing that I really loved. Can you do that? Nobody wants to be compared to somebody's ex in the bedroom, so do not ever mention your ex and feedback in the same sentence. So instead, what I would do is I would use the dream scheme. This is our favorite technique for bringing up something in the bedroom, is tell your partner, hey, I had this dream last night that you were doing XYZ to me, and it was so hot in the dream, and now I can't stop thinking about it.
Or my mind was wandering today at work, and I just kind of got this fantasy in my head and I couldn't stop thinking about it. If the dream thing feels a little bit too far on the side of not being fully honest this way, because then you're
it's a little lie, of course, but I think it's a playful one, and it's in service of your relationship. There's nobody that's being harmed by it. It's just a way to gently open up the conversation, because the main fear when you're giving feedback to your partner is that they're going to hear it as you're doing a bad job, and most people are so nervous about hurting their partner's feelings that then they actually end up over explaining and making it like building it up to a way that then it does sound bad to your partner, where you're like, hey, so I wanted to talk to you about something, and don't get upset. Like, it's a good thing. Like, I don't want you to get upset, but I would really like you to like do this to me in bed. Like, if you say it like that, your partner is definitely gonna feel defensive, feel hurt, you know, feel like they're doing something wrong. So we really recommend making requests in a very positive, lighthearted, sexy way. Like, you know what sounds so hot to me? If you were to do this to me, that would feel so good. You can even say that your partner did it in the past. So a lot of times people are wanting things that their partner used to do but hasn't really done for a while. Most of us in long-term relationships, the more sex we have, we kind of tend to narrow down our window of what we do during sex. So reminding your partner, like, hey, you know what memory popped into my mind the other night when you used to do this to me, or, you know, that time that you did XYZ to me.
Yeah, or maybe something where they were very close to doing the thing that maybe your ex did more frequently.
Yeah.
Like, think of what is the closest thing, or like when was a moment where it was like, you know, it maybe would have been logical for the next thing for them to do to be that thing. Like, if you can come up with something like that, then you could tie it to that and be like, oh, I was thinking about that time when we were, you know, blah, 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 a couple years ago. And like, was kind of wondering, like, what would you want to take the next step with that? Or, so, you know, something like that. Yeah,
again, it's just framing it in a positive way, and you're making your partner feel like they've already won. They've already done a good job. You know, it's like presenting it to them in this way that feels really fun, rather than like, oh, you never do this thing and I need you to do it.
Okay, question for you, because I think for the cynical person that is really worried about this because maybe there are some tricky feelings around the exes. What if your partner then goes, so what if you say that to me, you suggest something to me that we've not actually ever done before? And what if I'm like kind of jealous about your ex or whatever, or it's been a touchy subject before. What if I go like, oh, have you ever done that before? Like, what are you supposed to say? Because I think that kind of is what is behind some of this. Is that worry of like, are you supposed to then be honest with, oh, well, I actually have before. And they're like, oh, well, who, like with who?
I would probably, that's a good question. I'd probably say no, just because I think this is, again, one of those scenarios where honesty is not always the number one most important thing. Sometimes honesty is very cruel and unkind. And I think that that question, like, have you ever done this before? Have you done this with an ex? That's a bad question. Somebody's like digging for, what's the opposite of like fishing for compliments? Like fishing for insults. Digging for insults. You're like,
yeah, I like digging, because it's like you're digging yourself a hole, digging for insults.
Digging for insults. So it's like, it's a bad question to begin with. But I think if you tell your partner, like, I mean, you could say like, I don't think that's a very useful question or a very useful like conversation for us to have.
Yeah,
then your partner's going to be,
your partner's
going to be like, oh, well, then you definitely did, didn't you? So I would probably err on the side of just saying like, no, I'm really just more focused on like you and me and our sex life. So I think that's, you know, yes, it is lying to your partner, but I think it's a lie that doesn't cause harm. It actually avoids the harm. There's nothing useful unless you're like a super secure couple and you and I have talked about stuff before.
I have zero problem with that.
Like,
also, it's been so fucking long. Like, who the fuck cares, man?
So for some couples, you might feel fine saying like, oh yeah, actually I did do it with a partner in the past and like I liked it, and I think it'd be even hotter for you to do it to me. So you make it seem like, you know, it's I got some inspiration from the past, but like I'm focused on you, on us having sex together. So for some couples, it might be totally fine. But for a lot of couples, like if you have the sense that your partner's going to get hurt, feel jealous, get upset, it's just like, just skirt around it. Don't go down that path.
I mean, yeah, I guess that got me thinking. You could kind of toe the line of like half truth, half lie, of like, depending on the situation, of course, but like, it could be, oh yeah, like we like kind of tried that one time and like it was like kind of enjoyable for me, but like my partner wasn't that into it, so we never did it again. And like, I would love to explore that more. I feel like that's an invitation to your partner of like, of like, you've set the bar really low for them, like for them to come in and exceed that, where they go, oh, okay, awesome. Like they kind of tried it once, but like the partner, like the ex didn't really do it very well or whatever, or wasn't into it. So
That's
now this is my opportunity to show my partner like how much better I am. I will say though, I do want to call out though, I think it's important to call out. If you are super worried that your partner is going to be super jealous because they've pulled shit like that before, I do think that's important to call out. That is a serious red flag for long-term committed relationships. If you feel like you cannot bring up something that you'd like to try because your partner will likely try to figure out, is this something that you tried with a partner? And if so, they don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole because they're so threatened or jealous. Like that's not the recipe for long-term success.
Yeah,
because you can't this isn't like Severance where you can it's not like, there's not like relationship severance where it's like, okay, we're in a new relationship and now we have zero past history.
Yeah.
We have zero past experiences. I never want to know it. I never need to know anything about anything that ever happened to you because you definitely never were sexually active with anybody else.
Yeah.
So I just want to kind of call a spade. Like that type of behavior is not great. And is not a good sign for how they might behave in other ways later on in your relationship.
Yeah, fair. We have a brand new product to tell you about today, Cozy Earth's Bubble Cuddle Blanket. So we have been longtime fans of Cozy Earth. They make the softest, most luxurious sheets. They make towels, all sorts of other bedding products.
They've really taken things to the next level here.
Yeah, we just got their Bubble Cuddle Blanket, and it is so soft. It's like a faux fur kind of thing. It's really plush. It's fuzzy. It just feels so warm and cuddly.
It's like a cuddly dog is lying on you, but it's the entire blanket and you just get to pet the blanket.
It is the perfect blanket for the weather starting to get a little cooler, for cuddling up on the couch together, getting all cozy and snuggly underneath it. Just yet another knock out of the park. We really have just loved everything we have tried from Cozy Earth. They also make clothes too. I forgot to say that earlier. Head to CozyEarth.com and use our code PillowTalks for up to 20% off your order. I definitely recommend throwing a cuddle blanket in there. And if you get a post-purchase survey, make sure to let them know you heard about Cozy Earth right here on Pillow Talks. Because home isn't just where you live, it's how you feel. Let's go home with Cozy Earth. We've told you before about OneSkin, one of our favorite skincare companies, born from over 10 years of longevity research. And I was super excited to try out their newest product, their OS1 Hair. It is a scalp serum powered by their patented OS1 peptide, and it works by targeting the cells in your hair follicles that contribute to shedding, thinning, and slower hair growth. I am super excited to try out this product. They've done some incredible clinical studies on it. After 6 months, people saw a 43% increase in hair thickness and a 40% increase in hair density, in addition to seeing an overall reduction in hair shedding and increased hair volume and fullness. Born from over 10 years of longevity research, OneSkin's OS1 peptide is proven to target the cells that cause the visible signs of aging, so your scalp and your hair stay healthy now and as you age. Go to oneskin.co/hair and use code PILLOW for 15% off your first order. After you purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that Pillow Talks sent you.
Let's keep moving. I find it really awkward to schedule sex. How do I get over that?
Well, let's start with most people dislike the idea of scheduled sex because we've all been taught to believe that sex should be spontaneous. Like when you see sex scenes on TV and in the movies, it always looks very spontaneous and effortless. And so most of us grow up believing that's what it's supposed to look like. So the whole idea of like having to schedule sex usually trips people up because they take it as a sign that, oh, the spark's gone, the chemistry's not there, I'm not with the right person.
And I mean, the spark is totally gone in Vanessa and my relationship. We might not be with the right people because guess what, guys? Vanessa basically scheduled sex with me for later today.
I did.
She did. She did, but she didn't do it in an awkward way. She did it in a really fun and exciting way.
So here's the thing with scheduling sex. Like, we really get into the nuance and specifics of how to schedule it in Deeper, our couples membership. We'll put a link to check that out in the show notes. But the main thing that I want to get across is, like, you can definitely schedule it in an awkward, boring way. Like, okay, I guess we'll put it on the Wednesdays from 8:30 to 8:45 p.m.
Hey baby, I guess it's time. I guess
it's been a while. It's our date.
Come on, we have to go do this. I know we don't want to.
Yeah, but that is not the only way to schedule sex, and nor is that our recommended way of scheduling sex. There are a ton of different ways to do it, but it really is all about, like, the feel behind it. So the other thing about scheduling sex that we like to remind people of is, most people will tell us, oh, well, in the beginning of the relationship, we didn't have to schedule it. It did just happen.
Lies.
If you really think about it, at the beginning of your relationship, when you're dating somebody, you are what? Making dates with each other. And you're what? Putting those dates on your calendar. You're scheduling those dates. And when you start having sex with each other, it is pretty much guaranteed that when you have a date with each other, you are having sex. You have been scheduling sex from the very beginning. You just didn't recognize that that's what you were doing.
Yeah, we kind of fall off of that wagon very often once we start living with each other, and once we have to stop. Once we stop going out of our way to be like, oh, hey, can I come over tonight? Or let's go do something tonight. Once you're actually cohabitating in the same space, we stop scheduling stuff. Like, we basically stop scheduling intimacy, like any kind of intimacy with each other, and then start feeling like, oh my God, like, how come we're not having sex? And it's like, well, duh, you're just not doing it the way that you used to. So yeah, now that you live together, now that you're more serious, maybe it doesn't need to be in this roundabout way that it is at the beginning of a relationship where, because at the beginning of a relationship, most people aren't like, hey, let's schedule sex at 9 p.m. and therefore let's go to dinner at 7 p.m. so that we can get home for the sex at 9 p.m., right? Like, you're not scheduling it in that way. But, so yeah, like, you don't need to do this roundabout, like, hey, let's go on a date, wink, wink, wink. But, like, you guys are together. You have sex with each other somewhat regularly. Like, can you talk about the sex that you do have and how sex is important to you and how you want to schedule or plan for doing the things that you enjoy doing that bring you closer emotionally and also physically?
So one of our favorite tips for this, and this is great, especially for somebody who's new to scheduling sex or feels awkward doing it, is schedule quality time with your partner, not sex specifically. So a lot of people get very hung up on the, like, oh, well, am I committing to have sex at this exact date? So skip the sex. Let's just schedule quality time together. So you're carving out time where it's just going to be the two of you, no phones, no screens, like, just focused on each other, having real quality time. And then you may find that once you start connecting, once you start having fun together, you might feel interested in doing a little something with each other. But, even if you aren't, you've still done something really beneficial for your relationship by scheduling that quality time together.
Yeah. And if for some reason there's some worry that feels like roundabout or like indirect, because then, because I think we do hear sometimes from some people being like, oh, well, my partner's scheduling quality time with me, but I know that really he's just like waiting for me to be open to have sex. To be open to having sex with him. Like, you can do kind of the next step, which is, hey, I would love to carve out some quality time with you later. And, and if we're feeling up for it, possibly having sex. Like, so you're setting the, you're setting the wheels in motion and saying, hey, I would love to do this if we are feeling up for it. Mm-hmm. And you're saying, but like, I'm wanting to make sure that we are creating the space to help both of us feel open and excited to it by having the quality time. Again, that depends on what is your partner's sex drive type. Like, it's understanding how sex feels for your partner. Like, is that something that they're open to immediately? Do they need to have a baseline level of emotional connection? Would they rather just have sex because that makes them feel more emotionally connected? Like, depending on those answers, you're going to structure that differently. But so it's important to understand what is important to your partner when it comes to sex. It's not just like, the answer is not just, oh, well, you got to have quality time. That's not going to be the answer for every couple. But if you're, this is kind of the stereotypical male-female divide, is that, the stereotype is that women need more emotional connection in order to feel open to sex. So it's generally a good idea to think about how can we carve out some more emotional intimacy time before having sex. Mm-hmm. All right, we're taking a hard right turn here, Vanessa. How to get over a fetish? I have one I can't seem to drop.
Interesting. I definitely want to know what the fetish is.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Okay, but the answer to this is you can't get over a fetish. Like a fetish. So a fetish, for people who don't know, the word is like a sexual interest or desire, and it feels very central to your experience. So it's not just a curiosity. It's not just a, I like when we do this, or sometimes this is nice. Like, for a lot of people, it often feels like this is something that I have to experience in order for sex to feel satisfying for me. So it's not something that we can just get rid of. It's the same thing as, like, let's imagine that you really like chocolate and you're like, how do I get rid of liking chocolate? Like, you can't make yourself not. You can choose not to eat it, just like you can choose not to engage in the fetish, but you can't force yourself not to like it.
Yeah, and you might find yourself, you stop eating chocolate. After a couple of months, you might find yourself being like, oh man, I really miss chocolate. Or you might see other people eating chocolate and be like, oh God, that looks so good. Like, you can't necessarily turn that part off. Like Vanessa's saying, you can choose to not do something, but you have to accept that there may be some consequences to that in terms of how you feel about it. You may not feel totally fulfilled.
Yeah, so when it comes to the fetish in particular, that's why I'm curious about what it is and why you feel like you need to drop it. So it could go in one of two directions. It could be that it's something that you just feel shame and guilt about. And maybe the journey for you is recognizing, like, it's okay to have this interest. We can let go of that shame. We can process that guilt and allow yourself to explore something that you really want to explore. So that might be one path. The other path might be, maybe it's a fetish that doesn't feel safe to you, that doesn't feel morally okay to you, that you are very sure that you just don't want to go down that path. Like, that could be the case too. So in that case, again, you can make a choice not to engage in it, but I wouldn't think of it from the perspective of trying to force yourself not to be interested in it. Oftentimes when we try to force ourselves not to want something, it actually makes us want it more.
Backfires.
Yeah, it's a little reverse psychology. So I wouldn't think of it from that point, but I would think of it from, the perspective of the choices that you're deciding to make. And if it is in that direction where it doesn't feel safe or morally okay to you, like, I would definitely seek some therapy too. There might be some processing. I'm kind of going to more like extreme examples in my head that, I'm not sure what it is. It could be something as, like, the most common fetish is a foot fetish. Mm-hmm. People are just into feet, but then they feel kind of guilty and bad about it. But it's not it's not harming anybody. It's not doing anything like bad. It's just, you like some tootsies.
Okay, so what if it's... So you gave some good examples of, like, situations sort of internally, like if it's something that you don't want to do. But what if it's something, what if you want to get rid of this fetish because your partner's not open to it or they can't fulfill it?
I mean, I would think of it still in the same way. Like, you can't get rid of it. If your partner's not open to doing it, then there are, again, two paths. Would your partner be open to letting you explore this fetish on your own or potentially with other partners? A lot of couples work out arrangements like that. Or the second option is, if your partner is a hard no, they're not going to be into it. then it becomes for you a decision of, can I choose my partner knowing I'm not ever going to be able to have this central experience? And some people may do that, versus, do I need to honor something that is so central to my experience and not be with this partner anymore, which some people do that too. But, there's definitely a lot of grief in that path. And I think it's important to acknowledge that.
Yeah, I think that we kind of downplay fetishes, or it's like, oh, it's just this inconvenient thing. But I do think that in many ways, if this thing feels so central to you, and you feel so strongly that you don't want it, that you're like, what do I do to like cut this out of my brain, basically? Like, I would say it's at a similar level, or an interesting equivalency to wanting to have kids or not wanting to have kids. Like, if you're in a relationship, like I
have a fetish for having kids.
No. Oh, the breeding fetish. No, but what I'm saying is that it's like, I think that it's similar to, like, if you are like, I really want to have kids, and your partner's like, no, I am not open to having kids. You have to decide, am I okay with just not having kids, and knowing that I really want them, and I'm going to be thinking about that for the rest of my life with this partner? Or do I need to say, man, it's been a good run, but this isn't going to work long term. I need to find someone that is open to, that's more compatible with the things that from a real baseline level I desire in life, whether that's kids, whether that's a certain sexual fetish. Because I mean, the reality is most people would say sex is really important to me, even if I'm not like, wildly sexual and having sex all the time. At the end of the day, if I knew early on in my relationship that my partner would actually prefer to not have sex, most people would be like, yeah, I'm moving on. I'm finding someone that is open to having sex. So we already look at sex as a legit deal breaker in a relationship. But somehow with fetishes, we go, oh, well, that's just a little extra. Like, that's not that important. But if for you, wanting to have that, needing to have that fetish is what your definition of sex is, then arguably you're not really fully having sex if you're just having, kind of like what our default, like, foreplay and intercourse type of sex is. Like, arguably you're not having the full experience that you want to have. And I think you got to decide if you are open to moving on, possibly. Because I do think there is a very healthy and large fetish community out there of like-minded people who have desires or fetishes that are beyond what is sort of considered the baseline norm, I guess, in our society. And I think the great thing is, if you were wanting to get rid of this fetish, I'm guessing that you are not really inside the fetish community. Because inside the fetish community, there's a lot of acceptance for all the different fetishes, and a lot of understanding, and a lot of people that really want to help their partner get everything out of sex that they want to get out of. Because they have the same thing. They want their partner to indulge them as well. And so I do think that it could be worth investigating that community, because while you may not be getting the acceptance or validation you want from your partner, there is someone out there that can give that to you.
Okay, I'm going to turn this one over to you as our resident male. How to reassure your partner that he satisfies you just fine, even though he has ED? Oh,
very good question. I mean, I'm assuming that this person is currently trying to reassure their partner in a variety of ways, and their partner is not believing or internalizing that. Yeah. Right. So, yeah, I mean, I think that I would imagine there's probably some personal work for the partner to do, kind of to come to some acceptance of the
one with ED.
Yeah. The partner with ED. Like, is there some personal work that you can do on your own or in therapy to kind of come to acceptance of, hey, this is a thing that I have, and my partner is telling me that they are very satisfied. I would want to know, like, there's also the question, though, is the partner with ED satisfied? Like, there could be some level of, like, maybe they are probably in their head about the ED that they have, but also, like, are you getting everything that you want out of sex? I would be really curious about that, because I do think sometimes, especially men, feel like they feel like, oh, I'm responsible for my partner's experience before I even get to think about my own experience. And so there could be some men. But I think especially men who are struggling with performance issues, whether that's just specific performance issues or like things that end up turning into ED. I think that it can be easy to kind of be like, oh, well, I don't really deserve to focus on myself until I can get over this thing and like help my partner out. So yeah, I do wonder if, are there some things that you feel like you are missing that you want, and figure out how to work towards those things. But, yeah, I mean, I do think that when it comes to reassuring your partner, outside of any personal work that they could do, I think that it's just it's a long, slow process. I think it's just continuing to give the message to them over and over, that you are satisfying them. I mean, I do think I want to be certain that like, well, I guess what I'm curious about is this person, like, are they saying, oh, I'm satisfied even though I'm not having orgasms? Like, I do wonder is the partner with ED not really believing them because they're like, well, it doesn't really seem like you're enjoying yourself that much. Like, are you really fully enjoying yourself? Like, are you experiencing pleasure? Are you experiencing orgasms? You're just not getting their penis for very long.
Well, here's the irony about ED is that the penis is actually, of all the instruments that you have to bring your partner to orgasm, the penis is actually the worst one. It's not, ironic. It's not very dexterous.
It's the best one for impregnating them. It's the worst one
for pleasure.
For pleasure.
You're way more likely to make your partner feel good with your hands, with your mouth, bring them to orgasm in those ways than you are with your penis. So obviously experiencing erectile dysfunction, for anybody who doesn't know what ED means, if you're experiencing erectile dysfunction, that's obviously difficult, an experience that is difficult as a man. You feel emasculated. It can feel frustrating. If you're not experiencing pleasure, of course, that's awful. It's really hard. But I do think that it's really easy to get in your head and think that there's no way you can, pleasure your partner. And so the reality is that you can.
And maybe
you can
even better.
In better ways. And even more ironically, in the work that I've done with men with ED, when we helped them focus on pleasuring their partner with their hands and their mouths, it gave them so much confidence that they actually started having erections again. Because with erectile dysfunction, it's most often that it is a psychological, mental, emotional issue that's going on. There can be physical causes for it, medications, certain injuries or illnesses, but that tends to be much more rare. So if this is the case where it's more of a psychological type of ED, then him getting that confidence could be really helpful.
So I think it really comes down to the person asking the question. I think there's two scenarios, and I think you got to get honest with yourself because I don't have any more details. So I'm not trying to accuse you of anything, but I would ask, are you truly satisfied because your partner is giving you amazing orgasms with their hands and with their mouth? Or are you saying, yeah, I'm satisfied enough. We're like, because like, I'm just like not that interested in sex, or I don't really need to have the full experience. Mm-hmm. If it's that one, if it's the latter, I don't think that you're ever going to assure your partner that you're satisfied, because your partner is going to see through that and be like, well, you're definitely not having orgasms. Like, it doesn't seem like you're really enjoying yourself. So yeah, if it's that, then I would say call a spade a spade. If you truly feel like, you know what, sex just isn't that important to me, and I'm fine with us not having it ever or barely ever having it, like, play around in your head with how would it feel to say that to them? I think most people would be like, yeah, that wouldn't feel totally in integrity. Mm-hmm. Like, or like, I would be worried that maybe that might end our relationship, even though my partner has ED. So that might be something for you to consider. Okay, maybe it's time to actually start focusing on me a little bit more. So there's a lot of, foreplay guides, great place to start again, or deeper. Foreplay guides are within deeper, plus so much more. But yeah, time to focus on actually letting your partner give you an incredible experience, and honestly, probably a better experience than they could give you with their penis alone. But yeah, if they are already doing that and they're still not believing you, I think you just got to continue with it. Oh man, that was so good. I feel so satisfied. Like, I love it when you bring me to orgasm. Just be consistent with that.
Here's the sad truth. Most of us spend more time picking a Netflix show than we do being actually present in our relationship.
And yet, research actually shows that your relationship is a bigger predictor of your happiness more than your career or money. But there's never been a clear roadmap to deeper connection and lasting intimacy. Until now.
That's why we built Deeper, our membership for couples who want to feel closer, more connected, and more passionate. If your relationship is in a good place, you'll love the quick wins like brand new date night ideas every month, fun conversation prompts, and even Vanessa AI, your on-demand coach that you can ask anything, anytime.
And if you hit a tougher season, which is totally normal, then Deeper has you covered with our full library of courses and guides so that you can deep dive into exactly what you need most right now. Think communication, connection, desire, pleasure, or exploration. We've got you. It's like having a relationship wellness plan that actually fits into your real life.
It's the membership that we always wished existed for ourselves, something in between expensive therapy and trying to just figure it all out on your own. So whether you just want fresh ideas to keep things exciting or you need more structured tools to get back on track, Deeper meets you where you are. Because your relationship deserves at least as much care as your Netflix queue.
Curious what your deeper journey might look like? Start with the Intimacy Quiz, your key to love that lasts. This quick quiz helps you uncover what your relationship needs most right now. And you might be surprised because most couples get this one wrong. You'll walk away with a personalized roadmap, straight to the point, actionable, and designed to help you reconnect with your partner ASAP. So head on over to vmtherapy.com/5keys. That's the number 5 and then the word keys. Again, it's vmtherapy.com/5keys. And don't worry, we'll also link it in the show notes for you. Okay, Vanessa, how do you help people who have experienced sexual trauma and want to regain a healthy sex life?
So we actually have an incredible free resource for this. It's a course that I designed years ago for female survivors of sexual trauma and abuse. And we offer it now completely free. You can go to vmtherapy.com/free. I believe it's down towards the bottom of the page. We also have a ton of free guides on that page. So everybody should go check that page out.
Good stuff for everyone.
vmtherapy.com/free. But this one is called A Survivor's Guide. And it walks you through a very practical steps for reclaiming your sex life and helping sex feel safe, joyful, and pleasurable again. So it is definitely not meant to replace psychotherapy. I highly, highly recommend anybody who experiences any sort of boundary violation. Like, I truly believe that you need to go through therapy to give you, like, to create the space to process the experience. But I created this course because I realized that I had so many people coming to me who were saying, I did therapy for this, but we never really talked about, we processed the experience, but we didn't talk about like practical steps for moving forward. So this really walks you through like specific things that you can do to make sex feel enjoyable again. So definitely go check that out. And again, it was originally made specifically for female survivors, but people of any gender can go through it. Just be aware that there's that lens.
It's written to women.
Yeah. And I guess I'll just also normalize that it is very common and normal for your sex life to be affected. A lot of people really downplay it, like it happened so long ago, it wasn't that big of a deal, other people have experienced far worse. But the reality is any sort of boundary violation is not okay. It's not something that you should have gone through, and it definitely can impact your experience of sex going forward because you've had this experience that sex is not for you, that your safety isn't important, that your boundaries don't matter. And of course it would impact your sex life, but unfortunately a lot of survivors just don't recognize that.
All right, let's bring it home with what to do if both him and I want the other person to initiate / get turned on by the other person initiating.
You are.
You're screwed.
No. You are like almost every couple. Like we all like our partner to we all like to feel wanted. We all like our partner, making us feel wanted, telling us like, I want to be with you. And also, like, let's be real, a lot of us like our partner being the one to take on that vulnerability.
Yeah, because then we don't have to.
Yeah, it's like, well, I'd rather you do it. So it's totally fine and normal if you get turned on by your partner initiating. I get turned on by Xander initiating. He gets turned on by me initiating.
But that can't be the only way you get turned on.
You guys have to take turns here. So, you can work it out however you want. It doesn't need to be that it's exactly 50-50 right down the middle. But we feel really, really strongly that in a relationship, it's important for both partners to initiate because, again, it is so vulnerable to initiate. And that's a lot of pressure to put on just one person's shoulder to be the only one doing all of that work.
Yeah, I mean, I would be really curious the way that you wrote the question. Do both of you legitimately think, well, in my ideal world, the other one would do 100% of the initiating? Is that actually what you want?
Probably.
And is that actually what your partner wants? Like, that's just totally unreasonable. Because, yeah, imagine how, like, you're already saying it. Oh, I can't get turned on unless my partner initiates, or I can't feel turned on unless I get that validation that they want to have sex with me. You're literally saying, oh, that validation or that it's such a big thing for me. Now be like, okay, well, I know how that feels. And my partner's literally telling me the same thing. They feel the same way. So like, how would, you guys are totally stuck. And so it's like, yeah, the problem is not the initiating. I think the problem is you got to start opening up the playbook kind of in terms of figuring out, okay, got to maybe think about some other ways that I can feel turned on. Like, it can't just be, oh, the only way that I can feel turned on is if my partner says they want to have sex with me.
And if you don't feel confident in your initiation, we also have a course called The Art of Initiation that we can link for you in the show notes as well, that will walk you through how to get more confident and give you tons of ideas.
That one's also in Deeper.
It is within Deeper. All right. Well, that is the end of our questions, but come join us on Instagram. Again, every Sunday we do Ask Us Anything. We go over questions just like these and many, many more. So come join us on Instagram, Vanessa and Xander. And thank you so much for listening to this episode of Pillow Talks. Join us again next week. We release new episodes every Thursday.